Good evening, everyone. If you guys would take a seat and we will get, those of you that want to take a seat, we're going to get started. Good evening. Welcome to the Woodland Park City Council meeting of June 6th at 6:30. Suzanne, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Case,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nakai,
Here.
Councilmember Baldwin.
Here.
Councilmember Gear,
Here.
Councilmember Harvey,
Here.
Councilmember Jones,
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. America, we love you.
All right, that takes us to item 3A, oath of office to a new police officer, Chief Deisler.
Well, that was quick, Mayor. I didn't get a chance to get my heels cooled off.
I think you'll do fine.
Thank you. First off, again, as always, thank you for the time to come before all of y'all to share some exciting things that happen within the walls of our police department. As you know, every day we strive to be better and better. And it's my hope that after a little over 2 years, you all are seeing the fruits of that labor. It's not always an easy road, but if it was easy, anybody could do it. To that effect, and keeping true with what we've tried to strive to do, it's always fun to introduce you in the community to our new officers when we get them hired and they join our team. And we're happy to have the opportunity to do that tonight, to bring you one swearing in for our new officer. He goes by Jeremiah, but his name is Carlos Cermino. He goes by Jeremiah Cermino, and you'll meet him in a second. We're pleased to have members of our staff here who have come to join us to watch him get sworn in and join our team, as well as some family members. And we know that his mother's here, flew in from Nevada just to be here for this. Ma'am, I can tell you with certainty that having watched my mother do exactly what you're doing about 33 years ago, as I told you, that pictures won't mean a lot now, but in 20 years they will. And we're happy to have you. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. We're going to go and get started. I'll bring the microphone up and we'll swear Jeremiah in. So if you'd like to come on up and join us, everyone. And it took me 3 years to memorize my last one, and I haven't had the energy to memorize this one yet. So we're going to read it out loud, and y'all can come on up here if you want. This way, if we get pictures, we can see your faces. All right, are you ready? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Carlos Cermino,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the ordinances and charter of the City of Woodland Park.
ordinances and charter of the City of Woodland Park.
I will conduct myself with honesty and integrity,
Conduct myself with honesty and integrity.
will serve my community with bravery and honor,
Will serve my community with bravery and honor,
and will never betray the public trust.
and will never betray the public trust.
I will faithfully perform
Faithfully,
the duties of a Woodland Park police officer,
police officer,
which I affirm I am qualified for
which I affirm I am
and now about to enter.
now about to.
Congratulations, gentlemen. So we'll present his oath of office form right now. If you give me a second, Eric, I'll step into the picture. Now, of course, the most important part is the pinning on of your badge. And I will tell you, as we've made a habit of telling most new officers who I hire, this badge itself has no power, no authority. You put it on a gram scale, it's about 30 grams, about all you're going to get out of it. It's what you make of it. It's how you take care of it and what it represents. We've all protected it. We all live by it, and we're entrusting you with it as well. So who's pinning? Oh, time to stab daddy.
Right.
All right. Okay. So Mom, if you want to help. Yeah, definitely get this one on camera. This is the whole 20-year thing I talked about.
That's so sweet.
Excellent.
Good job.
Nicely done. So we're not done yet because we're gonna give out 2 badges tonight. So we're gonna give this young lady a badge sticker and she can join Dad alongside the new badge wearers in the family, but hers is gold and his is silver, so she already outranks him. So if you want, Eric, if you got time for one more picture, we thank everybody. We appreciate you coming to see this. Mayor, council, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, thank you all for having this time with us. And thank you all very much.
Congratulations.
She's so sweet. Aw. Aw.
Congratulations.
Thank you all very much again.
Cute. How cute was that? She did a better job than most. She's put right on.
That's good stuff. All right, we're on to 3B, Pikes Peak Regional Building Department. Update by Roger Lovell, City Building Official. Welcome, Roger.
Good evening. Thank you. There's no way I can top that. So I'll do my best to keep you entertained, but that was very special. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Roger Lovell. I'm the regional building official. I've been with the building department for about 22 years, and I've been the building official since 2015. Just to start off on a little brief history of the department, for those who may not be aware, the department was created between the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County in 1966. Later on in the late 80s, the cities of Fountain, Manitou, Monument, Woodland Park, I'm sorry, not Woodland Park, Palmer Lake, Green Mountain Falls, the rest of an unincorporated El Paso County fell within the jurisdiction of or came under the jurisdiction of the building department. In 2013 is when we began servicing the city of Woodland Park. So with that said, let's see if I can get this. All right, next slide. I knew I was going to have trouble there. I'll go through these bullet points here, not in any particular order, but there's a number of services that the building department provides. For one, we have a staff of about 144 people right now, about 70 inspectors, and we dedicate inspectors specifically to the city of Woodland Park. We don't do combination inspections like other building departments do. We have building inspectors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and elevator inspectors. And each one of those inspectors are skilled in their specific area. One of the services that we do provide for the city of Woodland Park is collection of the use tax on building permits, and we remit those payments monthly to the city of Woodland Park. We're very active to the extent possible with the legislature in trying to lobby for good legislation and fight bad legislation. I'll touch on a couple of those. I think it was 2022, and there was House Bill 22-1362. It was one of the biggest changes that we've seen from the legislature as it impacts building codes, and that was the greenhouse gas emissions bill as it pertains to building construction. And what it did is it mandated certain energy codes be adopted and enforced. We worked very hard to get in front of the ball on that one. We opposed it. I testified at the legislature in opposition to it because I'm a firm believer in local control. And I believe that local governments need the ability to control the direction that they want to go, especially with building codes. With that said, the bill was passed, but it has a number of timeframes, and without boring you to death with those timeframes, one of the first dates that came due was July 1st, 2023. And if we didn't adopt an energy code prior to that, or a specific energy code prior to that, then we would be subject to much more stringent energy code requirements to include the model electric and solar ready codes. So we were successful. We worked with the Woodland Park Board of Review, and we were successful in getting that code adopted in all of our jurisdictions to include the city of Woodland Park. I think that savings probably amounts to between $6,000 to $10,000 savings on the average single family home. There's another one. While Woodland Park doesn't have too many buildings that are over 50,000 square feet, the state of Colorado Division of Air Quality passed what is known as Regulation 28. Regulation 28 requires any building over 50,000 square feet to do certain energy modeling and energy benchmarking. And then they have specific criteria that they have to meet starting in 2026 and more specific criteria in 2030. We were very involved in that. We fought that one as well. And I don't have a very good track record because we lost that one as well. But to give you an idea of the impact of that, our building, our main building for the building department is subject to that criteria. It was built in 2003. It's a LEED certified platinum silver building. And since that time, we've added a huge solar array and converted to all LED lighting. And it doesn't come close to meeting the requirements of this Regulation 28. So this is going to be a very difficult challenge for commercial building owners in buildings of excess of 50,000 square feet. And I do anticipate that threshold coming down. So it's things like that that we're watching closely and doing our best to fight to retain local control. The building department is self-funded. We operate off of the permit fees, the plan review fees, and the licensing fees that we collect. So there's no cost to the city of Woodland Park or any of our jurisdictions. And it's not a nonprofit, it's not for profit. So our goal, I'm sorry, let me say that again. It's not nonprofit, it's not for profit. So the goal at the end of the year is to, in essence, have a balanced budget every year. And if anybody has any questions at any point, feel free to stop me. I can ramble sometimes. Code changes and contractor classes, going back to the energy code that we talked about a little bit. When we did change codes, which we did on June 30th of 2023, we offered contractor training classes, not just for contractors, but also for design professionals, architects, engineers, anybody who wanted to attend. And we did offer some of those classes here in the city of Woodland Park. And I'm trying to remember, I think we had about 25 classes with about 800 people attend all those classes. So it's helpful to us when we can educate the people that we're working with. The easier it is for them, the easier it is for us. We also have a contractor 101 class for any new contractor or anybody who'd like to attend. They can attend our contractor 101 class free of charge. And it gives them an insight into how to operate with the building codes and whatnot. And we have classes that we offer for realtors as well. You can sign up for those on our website. We're also one of the only building departments in the state of Colorado that does offer same-day inspections. There are others, but as long as a request for an inspection is made prior to 8:30 in the morning, that inspection will occur the same day. And you can schedule inspections and obtain permits throughout all our jurisdictions via our website or for specific to the city of Woodland Park, the 3 locations that we have. We have one location here with Karen in Woodland Park. We have a location close to Memorial Park in downtown in Colorado Springs, and then a new location on the north end of Colorado Springs. So and each one of those, the 2 locations in the Springs have redundant services, contractor licensing, and everything there. I'll come back to the lowest permit fees in Colorado. We also handle all the contractor licensing, all the insurance obligations and requirements for contractors in the city of Woodland Park and Colorado Springs. Can we go to the next slide, please? This is just a comparison of permit fees across the state of Colorado. And at the very bottom there, this is based on a single family home, $500,000 valuation. The valuation is determined by the International Code Council building valuation tables. So you can see that Pikes Peak Regional Building Department has the lowest fees for residential in the state of Colorado. And if I don't have the slide, but if you looked at commercial fees, we are second to Pueblo, but just barely second. So we're pretty much a tie with Pueblo. Next slide, please. So just some numbers specific to Woodland Park. I get asked a lot, kind of on a daily basis, about what's going on. So here's what's going on in the city of Woodland Park for 2023. Single family homes for 2023, we had a total of 38, which was down 31% over the previous year, with an estimated valuation of 13.7 million. Residential alterations are literally everything else that you might do to your home: a deck, a basement finish, a re-roof, a water heater, that type of thing. We had 570, down 19% with a $3.9 million valuation. New commercial, 3 new commercial buildings, and that was flat from 2022 with an estimated valuation of 1.4 million. Multifamily has been hot for a couple of years now, all throughout the region. We had 27, the biggest being Charis Bible College with 66 units with an estimated valuation of 48.7 million. And commercial alterations, total of 91, down 22% with an estimated valuation of 2.3 million. So when we look at these numbers, it kind of tells the story, or it seems to paint the story that activity is down. But what we've seen throughout the region in the first 6 months of the year is that new residential is up approximately 30%. Now, commercial typically always follows residential and lags behind 6 to 18 months, roughly, in my, at least in my experience. So we saw a decline, kind of what we're seeing here in residential. And we're starting to see that decline on commercial now. So I anticipate that new commercial will pick up here shortly. Next slide, please. This is just a rundown here, just a scenario of these are the new homes. The green triangles are the new homes in the city of Woodland Park. And it's pretty hard to see on this graphic, but on the very left side, you'll see some purple triangles. That's the new multifamily. And I'll have a better way to show you how this works here in a second. Next slide, please. This is, and I'll ask Karen to pull this up here in a minute, but this is our new GIS feature that we have available on our website. And this is really a cool tool, but what we're looking at here is all permits in the city of Woodland Park for 2023. And this is this is a static shot, but we'll have a quick little rundown if the council would like, just to show the GIS feature, because it's really pretty neat and it gives you the ability to see exactly what's going on within the city of Woodland Park. Next slide. And this is also a static shot of that same GIS. This is the plan feature. So a lot of the times people might wonder what's going on somewhere. Well, this gives you the ability to, I'll get calls, what's going on at the corner of such and such street? Well, I don't know without an address, so I need that address. But this gives anybody the ability to zoom in and see what plans have been submitted. You can click on any one of those dots and get some information. So that's a pretty valuable tool. On the left side of the screen, not shown here, you can do all kinds of sorting and filtering of the data as well.
So that's plans that you have in review. The permit hasn't been issued yet. No?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yep.
On the GIS mapping tool, does our planning department have access to that mapping tool?
It's publicly available, so anybody has access to it. Karen, would now be a good time to, do you have the ability to?
So while she's doing that, I had a question going back to the energy code that we adopted last year. When do we have to actually take
What's the
the-
next step?
Oh, yeah, what's the next step?
So the next, the next step or the next deadline is July 1st of 2026. Right now, if we were to update or adopt a building code, if we were to make a change to the building code right now, then we would have to get rid of all the amendments that we made to the 2021 International Energy Conservation Code, which were very beneficial. I have to be careful in how I say this, but I can't say they lessened the code, so I won't say that. But we also did not have to adopt the model electric and solar ready code. What that would have done is require solar ready provisions and electric charging provisions on new single family homes and commercial buildings. So that's an option that people can do, but it's not required. If we did that right now, we would have to do that. Now, July 1st, 2026 is the next step. If we do anything after that point, then we will have to adopt what will be known as essentially it will be a carbon neutral code that the state of Colorado is developing. I saw one graphic in a presentation that I was on just for a cost comparison. The increase in the cost of construction for an office building was $22 a square foot to go from the unamended code, which we're not even on, to this proposed new code. So I'm confident, subject to additional legislation, that we can probably push that off until 28 or 29. Okay, thank you, Karen. So this is the main page of our website. There's a lot of information that we have available here. Just real quickly, one thing that I'll point out on the far right side of the screen, the current plan review status, that's the number of plans that we have in review in our plan review department at the time. But the most important thing to pay attention to is the date reviewing plans from. So that kind of gives you an idea. Anybody can look at this. They submitted a plan and get an idea for where their plan might be in the system. This website also provides contractors the access to obtain all of their permit information through an account on the website here. But let's look at the GIS feature if we could, Karen. It's just the top right corner where it says public GIS map. Top right, red.
There.
There you go. So this is that, you got to agree. So it takes a little bit of time to load, but you'll notice across the top, you've got building, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, manufactured home, wrecking, elevator, and plans. On the far left side of the screen, you have the ability to really dial down information. So Karen, on the right side, it says jurisdiction about 3/4 of the way down.
The right side?
I'm sorry, the left side, right, left. At the very bottom of that list will be Woodland Park. So if you click that. Now, if you just zoom in on Woodland Park here, there's all of the activity that you'll be able to zoom right in on. This is all of the building activity in Woodland Park, all the building permits over the last 6 months. And as you zoom in closer, then you can click on any one of those bubbles and just pick one, Karen, and
Try to get to a bubble.
if you just click that. And then if you click the browse features. So you can click any one of those permits there. This might not be the best example, but okay, so this will tell you what that permit's for. It's a new commercial permit for looks like a retaining wall, valuation of $124,000. Also from this link, you can click on all the links in here are live, so you can go directly to the assessor's database for Teller County, as well as the specific permit, and even go look at the inspection history on that permit. One other thing that I thought was kind of cool, if you go to the top, Karen, and click on the elevator tab, And let's see if this works.
Wow.
Just you go back to Woodland Park. We don't care about all
Yeah.
that stuff down there. But if you zoom down into Woodland Park, you can click on any one of those blue dots. And those are all the elevators in Woodland Park. And this gives you information about those specific elevators. And it will tell you whether the elevator is in compliance or out of compliance and whatnot. So there's a lot of really neat features on here, and I'd encourage anybody to just play around with it some. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Council, any questions for Roger?
Oh, thank you, Roger. No, appreciate it. This is very interesting. Very good. Oh, I do have a question, actually, if I may, Mayor. Roger, when you indicated you were going up to Denver, I assume, and I don't want to say protesting, but
Testifying.
testifying about some of the commercial or even just building code changes. Are you in connection? I assume you're in connection with like Teller County commissioners and El Paso County commissioners and stuff like that. So that are you working with other entities, I guess?
Yes, it's difficult to assemble these groups to really work effectively because legislation moves so fast. So we have a lobbyist, we have a group within. I haven't been real involved with Teller County commissioners, but we have talked and we do work together. I work closely with building official for Pueblo, Teller County, and throughout the region to kind of help get them at least aware of some of these changes. The interesting thing on the energy code change, there were a number of building departments that at least I was able to speak to that were not even aware of this change. And had they not done anything, they would have been in real pain. We do have a lobbyist, and we work closely on all of these items to try and fight them. There was one that we were successful this year. It was a real life safety concern. And it's amazing the lack of thought, honestly, that happens with some of this legislation and the unintended consequences of some of it. But I take my job very seriously. I'm a native of Colorado Springs, grew up coming up here to Woodland Park, and I'm proud, and it's an honor to serve Woodland Park. And I hope you know that Woodland Park gets valued the same as any one of our other jurisdictions, and we value the partnership that we have with the city.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Roger, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate
The only other thing I might add on the legislation, if going into the next legislative session, if there's anything that this group might have of concern that they're watching or hearing about, please get a hold of me, and I'm happy to look at it. Or if I know something about it, I'm happy to share any information I have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, council, that takes us to 3C, discussion of military liaison position. Suzanne?
So Mayor, I wasn't sure if we were going to have this discussion tonight or if we wanted to postpone the discussion.
Carol?
It's entirely up to the council, in anticipation of the discussion. For background, the city council and the city has not had an official military liaison. We've had individuals who made that contact with our military community over the years. A previous city manager established our relationship with an engineering battalion at Fort Carson. That's where some of our flags and plaques came from. Councilman Connors served in that capacity during his term on council. And I think he began the inroads to making that a more habitual relationship. Because I am retired military and come from a family of military and worked in the military community for over 30 years in the state, I'd be honored to serve in that capacity. I did reach out to a couple of other organizations in the area that have official liaison positions, and one of those is the city of Colorado Springs. And I met with Sally Clark, and some of you know Sally from a long history of service to El Paso County and the region, and to the city of Colorado Springs. When Mayor Yemi was elected last year. In fact, I think today was his 1-year anniversary. He took the opportunity to establish something called the Office of Community Affairs. And during our discussion at the council retreat this week, we talked about some of the areas that we felt we needed to spend a little more time in cultivating relationships throughout the community, not just with the military community. And what Mayor Yemi did is establish an Office of Community Affairs with 3 individuals. One individual is a retired minister, has the responsibility of working with the faith-based community of Colorado Springs and El Paso County. Second member focuses on cultural events, cultural relationships, that area that had not had a true focus in Colorado Springs. And then finally, Sally is the representative to the military community as well as governmental affairs. In her office, she's responsible to work with, there is a full-time lobbyist for the city of Colorado Springs. His name is Tom Meeks. It has an office budget of about $250,000 a year. Very instrumental in representing Colorado Springs and actually the Front Range during the last legislative session. And most of us understand that very often the focus of our state legislature is on our larger communities and not necessarily on the rural communities or less populated communities. So Sally has established that relationship with the state legislature. She's also a policy member of CML, Colorado Municipal League. And then in her role as liaison to the military community, understanding that Sally is the spouse of a retired military officer, she is quite active with Mount Carmel Veterans Center, as well as a spouse support organization at Fort Carson. And in fact, she's already signed me up for a meeting next week to meet with that group. When you think about spouse support for deployed service members, this is a group that helps develop compacts with professional licensing. So if a military spouse comes to the area and has a real estate license, a teaching certification, nursing certification, this particular group works out compacts to help them transfer their licensing or certification to the state of Colorado. I think that's a commendable effort. But truly, her job is as much as she wants to make it. And that was my discovery at the end of the day today, is that we would make it what we wanted to make it. We could combine it with some of those other duties, like working with, she was aware of the effort of the city of Fountain to set up a lobbyist group to speak our language at the state legislature, not necessarily Denver or Boulder, or for that matter, even Colorado Springs, so much larger than Woodland Park. So in my mind, I wanted to be able to bring to you what the rules of engagement would be for the role as military liaison. It could go beyond that in terms of legislative liaison, but if the focus is to be military liaison, I would start certainly with the Mount Carmel Veterans Center. It's more than just having the city pony up my ticket for a military ball. I would not expect that to happen. I mean, but on the other hand, Sally Clark did tell me that she does a lot of that too. And she goes on behalf of the mayor. You can imagine the mayor is pretty darn busy and he can't take every invitation. So if it's an invitation to liaise with one of the 5 military installations in the Springs area, Sally does that for the city of Colorado Springs. So we would be going in this, we're backing into this as an official position. I'd certainly like to pursue the opportunities for the city in having that official position. I would draft a letter for you, Kelly, to write to these organizations as a letter of introduction, ask that I be included in agenda items. But right now I have an invite for the Spouses Support Center down at Fort Carson next week, and I will attend no matter what happens. I don't know how we want to proceed, if this is just consensus of the council, that we establish this as a formal position and that I fill that position until the end of my term.
Well, I think that's a great idea. And I think that as it evolves, you could keep the council updated in that evolution process and maybe document so that we could memorialize what that position looks like going forward. Council, what do you think? Does that
Yeah.
feel good?
Sounds
Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
No objections here.
All right, carry on. Go
Thanks.
forth and do good things.
Thank you.
All right. Do we need anything else, Suze, on that?
No, that's sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? Item 4?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That takes us to the consent calendar. Council, we have item A, which is approval of a contract between Olganik, I think that's right, Enterprises LLC and the City of Woodland Park for $1.423 million. Ben, well, let me go on with the consent calendar, and then if you all have questions about that, we can pull that off and have a conversation. Item B is approval of the city council minutes from the May 16th, 2024 regularly scheduled city council meeting.
So I don't necessarily have any questions, but I thought maybe we should just pull the contract off just for the public to hear what it's about.
And put it on new
Put it on new
business.
business, yeah, if that's okay.
Yep, yeah, that would be great. I would like to understand what that is.
Okay, do we need a motion for that, Suze?
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to remove item A on the consent calendar to new business.
Second,
Suzanne,
I'm sorry.
don't be sorry. You'll
Case?
catch up. Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Now can I get a motion for the consent calendar on the minutes?
Approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Count, Suzanne.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
thank you. Item 6 is public comment on items not on the agenda. Do we have folks signed up, Suzanne? I would it appear that we do.
We sure do. Our first speaker, I don't see him in the audience, nor do I see him online. It's Drew DePatty. So I do not see him. So we'll just skip over him.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Austin Clark. There we go.
Welcome, Austin. If we could just get your full name and your city of residence.
Yes, that'd be Austin Thomas Clark, Woodland Park.
Thank you.
I know I have 3 minutes, so I won't take up too much of your time. My reason for my presence here today was to start the discussion and hopeful advancement of, and don't hold it against me, engine braking through city limits. I have on several occasions been dining about 111 outside and had almost a consistent banter of noise coming down off the mountain of 18-wheelers, logging trucks that are not using their own brakes, that are using engine braking. So I would like to put forth to this committee and city council that a discussion to be had of potentially having a city ordinance of around noise and excluding the availability for engine braking.
All right.
That's it.
Staff, would you make a note of that, please, and bring that back to us? Thank you. Thank you, Austin.
The next speaker is Mike DeMuth. I know how to say his name.
Mike, would you give us your full name and place for us?
My name is Michael DeMuth. I live in Florissant.
Thank you. Welcome.
All right. Hi, my name is Mike DeMuth. I'm here as the chairman of the Woodland Park School District Accountability Committee. Again, you're going to hear from me a lot. I'm representing and speaking on behalf of this panel of 18 teachers, parents, district administrators, and community members. We are regularly provided real information from the district and the state about our children's education, as well as the status of our building maintenance and security, school budgets, etc. I'm here to speak with you again about the 1.09% tax for our school district. I think we all realize the importance of these funds in our schools, regardless of our personal opinions of the school board, superintendent, administration, local politics, or some garbage that some keyboard warrior may have made up on the Woodland Park Dash community page. It's very important for us to remember what this is really about, the education of our children. Again, the budget these teachers are working on is at the same level as of 1989. It's proven and well documented that since this tax started in 2016, it wasn't until this current school board was elected that these funds were actually used to increase teacher pay. Taking away or limiting this tax will affect the students and teachers more than any administrator or Board of Education member you don't like. And hiring an outside firm to manage and distribute funds seems like an unnecessary expense that would only affect the amount of funds going to the district, taking away money from our children and deferred maintenance on our school buildings. If you want to see a third party advise on the taxes, use the DAC instead of wasting those funds. We advise you to go to DAC meetings, Board of Education meetings, and be the involved and active city council that makes wise decisions and provides leadership that unites. We advise you to avoid the carrot on a stick scenario with the district. Make a set of requirements you would impose on any school board, any superintendent, or any district administration team, and keep it consistent forever. If we're going to cross-govern one government board, we should cross-govern all of them, including the city council and the Teller County elected officials as far back as 2016 by a third-party nonprofit. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? I have personally asked people on your city staff for over a year to do something about the crosswalk situation at Kelly's Road and Cottontail, the exit of Merritt Academy, after a middle school parent hit one of our crossing guards and kept driving. He's fine, but I've sent numerous emails and had several phone calls and was told that we don't need to do anything there by the people you should be governing. I'm sure you would all react if a child was killed. This is the kind of thing you should be governing, not trying to govern over other elected government boards. I'll say it again. This is your opportunity to do the right thing for the children in this community.
Perfect timing, Mike. Thank you. Suzanne, next, please.
Is Arnie Sparnans?
You. Arnie, if you would give your full name and your town of residence, please.
First, I'm going to say Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Then I'll say my name is Arnie Sparnans. Yeah, I live in the Sunny Glen neighborhood of Woodland Park.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Arnie.
And so I'd like to first congratulate the mayor on her election and welcome the new city council members. I would like to, however, also remind everyone that their oath of office is to support the charter and ordinances of the city of Woodland Park. And yes, that also, this also includes supporting the Citizens Initiative ordinance on STRs. I'm concerned that the city did not file a rebuttal to the complaint about the Citizens Initiative, but instead they filed an extension indicating a potential settlement was being negotiated that would be determined by the mayor and city council. We need to remember that the city charter states no initiated ordinance adopted by the registered electors of the city may be substantively amended or repealed by a city council during a period of 2 years after the date of the election of the initiated ordinance. In the special election, Woodland Park residents spoke up clearly about not wanting STR motels operating in their residential neighborhoods. This was strongly reinforced with how the city council's ballot question number 2, which would have allowed these STR motels in our residential neighborhoods, was rejected by a 1,593 vote to 693. Any backdoor attempts by city council to now get their rejected legislation in place needs to be discontinued. It's deeply concerning that the proponents of the rejected ballot question number 2 now appear to be engaging in secret negotiations and the public is left in the dark. Both the Citizens Initiative and Council's counterproposal added the STR use to the zoning table of permitted uses for the first time in Woodland Park history. The key difference between the two was the Citizens Initiative limited STRs to primary residences only in residential neighborhoods, i.e. no STR motels. This primary residence only approach made the STR presence acceptable to the public. Before any legislation was ever discussed, The public expressed through the community engagement process that their top concern with STRs was STR motels in residential neighborhoods. The public's input is what ultimately was ultimately incorporated into the citizens initiative. For those new to the STR conversation, it's worth noting that restricting STRs to primary residences only is the most widely established approach to regulating STRs in the state of Colorado, not only in nearby Manitou Springs and Colorado Springs, but also across Colorado in residential communities such as Denver, Aurora, Fort Collins, Lakewood, and Thornton, and the list goes on. Woodland Park residents are very clear. They also do not want STR motels disturbing the peace and safety of their neighborhoods. The residents of Woodland Park are happy with their new ordinance. We look forward to seeing that reinforced in the city's response due to the district court by June 20th. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Good timing for you too. All right.
Thank you. Rachel Priest.
Welcome, Rachel. Would you give us your full name and your city of residence?
Yeah,
please?
Rachel Priest, Woodland Park.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I sat at last week's council work session and I initially felt a sense of relief in the fact that you as a council determined you were not intending to remove the 1.09% sales tax. However, after time to process, I'm a little bit frustrated and more concerned than I was before. Lots of people do not like Mr. Witt, the school board, and or Merritt. People are not able to set aside their anger or even hatred in some cases. It appears that some of your own personal issues have clouded your judgment and are impacting how you are choosing to lead and the decisions you are making, which is causing unnecessary division in our community. We do not all have to agree or even like everybody. The children in the community are the ones who are ultimately impacted by all of the noise and would be severely impacted by any form of financial cut, including hiring a third party to oversee the 1.09%. Asking for a forensic audit would be redundant and unnecessary. It would be a waste of taxpayers' dollars by duplicating what the state already does. The state audits the school district every year. There have been no found issues or red flags. If the money was not being used properly, the state would step in, express concern, and take appropriate action. It is the state's job to audit the school district, not yours, and the state has not shown any concern. If you happen to really want more information on the district budget, it is posted on the district's website. It's easy to locate and it is detailed. There is no reason for the council to demand a third party to oversee the sales tax money. This is a leap and an overstep of one governing body, the city council, attempting to have control over another governing body, the school district. The data of how the sales tax has been used was presented in the same manner that it has been presented for many years previously. Now, all of a sudden, the council has concerns. Why were there not concerns years ago? This is where your personal ideologies are impacting how you are running and leading the council. This is wrong. Hiring a third party only takes away money from the district, again, removing resources from our children. It's not the city council's job to audit the school district. It's not your job to control the district's budget. Stop making things more complex than they need to be. Partner with the district. Communicate with them directly. Ask them questions directly if you have them. You didn't like the data that was provided for the sales tax money, so ask them to itemize by teacher salaries and benefits. It's an easy solution for both parties. Employee benefits is one of the 5 categories that was approved to be funded for the tax. Again, teacher salaries make up 80% of the budget. Sales tax is only 11%. There's not enough sales tax money to cover teacher benefits. If you still deem a third party necessary, I ask that you speak with and consider the DAC, the District Accountability Committee. This is a diverse group which is composed of teachers, parents, community members, and administrators, and they could be a liaison between the district and city council. You were not elected or appointed to put a target on the school district's back or cause further division in this community. I ask that you ensure that you are staying within your primary areas of responsibility and authority and bring our community together. You are in a leadership position. Lead for the good, be the good.
Thank you. Erin Hellstrom.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Hellstrom. I'm from Woodland Park.
Thank you.
I want to talk tonight about the 1.09% sales tax, and I would request that this council remove from the agenda of July 15th any further discussion of removal of that sales tax. This is not needed. This divisiveness needs to end now, and city council needs to lead from the front as there's the ones who started this. We're $36 million in debt as a board, as a district. We have a COP out there and $3.2 million, and we're not even gonna get that much this year, isn't gonna pay off $36 million. If we pay $3 million a year, 12 years from now, we'll finally pay that off. Our schools are in disrepair. Maintenance has been put aside. This sales tax goes a great way to helping our schools become better. I understand we have all different ideological views, opinions, beliefs, but as an elected official, we put aside those ideologies, those beliefs for the common good of the people. We have to be mindful of what we do and say, because as an elected official, your words carry weight and words do matter. I ask that tonight you would, if you can, I know it's not on the agenda, but if you make an amendment to the agenda to bring that initiative forward, to vote it up or down, so that we can know as a people where we go forward from here. I think uniting as a community around our children, around our strengths, and not finding divisiveness in individuals, because we can, I'm certain anyone can find something wrong with someone, right? It takes a greater, bigger leader to overlook those differences, to find a common ground and to move forward on that common ground. Let our children be that common ground. Because we can unite around the football team, sure. We can unite around the band, sure. Why can't we unite around the school district? I'd love to see our school lead the way, our district lead the way. Because how many, by law, an 18-year-old can run for county commissioner? Wouldn't it be awesome to have one of our high school graduates run for county commissioner at 18, 19 years old? Wouldn't it be awesome to know that we are educating, informing, and enhancing these young individuals to be future leaders of our society? Because I can tell you, it didn't happen when I was in high school. I learned that in the Marine Corps. Thank God for that. But our school is making strides. They are moving forward. No, we're not going to please everybody. That's not possible. But we can look at the strengths of what is being done. I think we gave out in grants this year at the high school, correct me if I'm wrong, a little over $4 million. That's an astounding feat. That's amazing for our high school right here. These are things we should look at. So Mayor Case, if you can, let's set this thing aside and let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kitten Walker? Excuse me. Okay.
And if you could give us your full name and city of residence, please?
Yeah, Kitten Walker, Woodland Park.
Thank you.
So a few days ago, I emailed the council a couple of topics. One was a forensic audit, and I just want to put it on record that if the forensic audit is done for the school district, I would like it to go back all the way to 2016 when the sales tax first started coming in. And I would also like the forensic audit to be performed on the city's portion of the sales tax that you bring in all the way back to 2016. And I would like the city to pay for it. It should not come out of the school district's budget at all. And if a third party is hired, it should be paid for by the city. And I think that the city should have a third party overseeing your budget. Who oversees your budget? The city manager, who is your employee. So if the school district needs a third party, the city should also have a third party. So I just, again, wanted to put that on record. I thank each one of you that acknowledged getting your emails from me. I did not get an acknowledgement from Jeffrey Gear. So just want to throw that out there. Where is the bridge building? So I'm just going to close with a prayer. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to come and speak here. I thank you, Lord, that this nation is a nation under God, indivisible, and that you are our focus. I thank you, Lord, that I have free speech liberty and that America shall be saved. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.
Randy Clegg or Clog, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Randy, if you could give us your full name and town of residence, please.
My name is Randy Clegg. I'm a resident of Woodland Park.
Thank you.
I know how fast 3 minutes go, so I'm going to get right to it.
It's right
took-
above your head too.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
wanna
I'll
watch
look at it this time. I took a ride around the block several times on Park and Lake and Pine Street, and this is an EMF meter and an RF reading right there. And I took the reading of the RF reading coming off the, or levels coming off the 5G tower. And each time I drove around 2 times, it was very high. It was between 15 and 17 milliwatts per square meter. And by the tower, over 20 to 30. This will only go up to as far as 20. 20 to 30 milliwatts per square meter, and on Pine, the same. And I did that several times, and it was actually exactly the same. But on the days, I came by in front of the city hall on a day that there wasn't a city council meeting or anything going on, and I had readings between 9 and 13 milliwatts per square meter. On the days that we have city council meetings, this is the 3rd one I've been to, I've taken readings outside just across the parking lot. And this is the anomaly, or is it because I don't know what the reason is, if it's cell phone usage or the time of the day, but I've been going around the same time of the day each time I drove around. And it was below 1 milliwatt per square meter. And to understand what that means is anything above 1 milliwatt per square meter is dangerous to health. And so today, actually, I'm very happy. I'm not complaining. I drove all the way around, and it's even below 1 milliwatt per meter. And I don't understand why it's different than on other days that is really high. Obviously, somebody has control over the level of the RF frequencies at different times of the day, or it's because of cell phone usage or whatever. But today was the lowest reading. It was just 0.034 to not even 1.0. And well, I'm not going to complain because I'm not getting radiated. So I just want to know why that is. I just don't understand it. But I know for a fact that the FCC, I understand the Federal Communications Act and the ordinances that no city is allowed to have an ordinance not permitting them to put this in a town across the United States. But I know the FCC is planning on raising or wants to raise it between 24 and 86 gigahertz. Now that's unheard of. And I don't know when they're going to do that or if they will do that. But if they do, at 60 gigahertz, people die because it depletes the oxygen levels out of a person's hemoglobin and you drop dead. And I can't tell you the duration of how long somebody's hit with that frequency, but people will die, anything that requires oxygen. So if you have any further questions, I would be more happy to talk with you.
Thank you, Randy.
Jerry Penland.
Jerry, if you could share your full name and town of residence, please.
Jerry Penland, Woodland Park.
Thank you, sir.
All I want is one number. It's a really important number, along with the spreadsheet details of how the city calculated the number. I've been asking for that number for maybe 8 years, starting when I was a planning commissioner. The number is too important to rely on what we have so far, only a decade-old guess. Maybe with 4 new city council members, you can get that number for us. We're making land use decisions without a strategic look at our future, one land use decision at a time, without knowing how each separate decision could impact the future of every single one of us. We have the spreadsheet that shows close to 100 vacant lots in our city. What we don't know is the number of people that could be added to each of these vacant lots if the lots were built out to the maximum allowable density by our current zoning laws. If our population today is, say, 8,200, then if you add the maximum number of people that could be added to each vacant lot, that's the number we all need to know. That's the number we need to focus on every single time a developer comes before this city council for approval. Our master plans and comprehensive plans over the last few decades have documented the number as 13,600. We need more than this decades-old city estimate. If the numbers say 12,000, we may not have a problem. However, if the number is say 15,000, we already have a problem. I haven't seen any reputable studies that say the western part of the United States, including Colorado and right here in Teller County and Woodland Park, are going to be wetter in the next 10, 20, or even 50 years. If we expect to have enough water to support even 13.6, we may already be in trouble and don't even know it. Is the reservoir our savior? That'll be for another discussion. The number should be the basis of every single land use decision for every single vacant lot in our city. This is not managing growth by way of our tap allocations. It's about managing how we get to the build out end state that we can support. Every one of you up there had some form of water management in your campaign messages to the voters. Knowing the number will give you the framework to make strategic long-term land use decisions. Without the number, you're shooting in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Garrick.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask, if the vacant lot, spreadsheet when was it updated and can it be updated?
We can take a look at that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, Gail. Could you give us your full name and town of
Yeah,
residence?
Gail
please?
Garrick, Woodland Park. I want to thank the mayor and the council for their interest in the finances of the Woodland Park School District. On Wednesday, June 12th, the board will present the proposed 24-25 school district budget. With brief review of that, I have some questions. Before I go into that, I would like to just reiterate that the school district had basically a balanced budget from 2015 to 2022. You already probably know that this past year, the school budget will be $2 million over revenue, and the year before it was over $3 million revenue. The reserve is being depleted at an exceptional rate. The proposed school budget for this coming year, I had a question. The state equalization funds are based on the school number of pupils in the school. On their pupil funded count, and I believe they are allowed to average years. So when Merit Academy started, those students left our district, were educated in Woodland Park, but I believe were under BOCES and were not in the count. The next year, they were added to the school board count, a school district count. But when you read this, it says in 2023, there were 1,968 students. Last year, 1,707. And the number of students projected for this budget year is 1,485. But in 2003, the actual count recorded by the state was 2,122. Last year, it was 2,020. I'm not sure why they are talking about a at least 500 student difference for this year. The other thing is on the state utilization, equalization funds. It's a complicated formula for determining it. Last year, the school district got 9.5 million, 4.1 was paid. 43% of that was distributed to Merit Academy. Merit Academy at that time last year had like 400 and I believe it's 50-some students, and they represented like 22% of the student population in the district. That figure matched what they got from the tax funds. And I just wanted to state that, one, the state has no way to reinforce financial fiscal responsibility. They were scholarships the school was given, not grants. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the final speaker is Sean Peckron.
Sean, if you give us your full name and town of residence, please.
Yes, Sean Peckron, Woodland Park.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good evening, City Council. I am a retired WPSD teacher and currently the Spanish teacher at Merritt Academy. I have 4 children in the district at Merritt Academy. All have attended WPSD. My daughter is a state level swimmer for the WPS swim team, and my son plays football at Woodland Park Middle School. I would like to thank you for your thoughtfulness at the previous city council meeting, where it was concluded that the recension of the sales tax was not in the best interest of our community. I would encourage the city council to continue on this path of recognition, communication, and support for the district's staff, students, and families. The idea of extra governance over the school board in regards to the sales tax was mentioned in the last council meeting. I would respectfully dissuade the city council from these precedents that will only cause more laborious and costly oversight amongst the city of Woodland Park and Woodland Park schools. But for all the entities that receive a sales tax. Considering the lack of fraud, one wonders if the action is not actually fiscal oversight, but something very different. Public school districts and their charter schools are subject to very complex and deep audit every year by school finance experts. These audits have detected fraud in other districts. WPSD's audits are clean and clear. People who despise the district leadership are falsely accusing a crime of fraud that several school finance accountants, auditors, and experts have never been committed. The district has accountability committees, DAC and SAC, that are community liaisons for the district. Budgets are posted online and are more extensive and scrutinized from other entities who receive taxpayer funds in Teller County. The ambulance budget, which can be found on the website, receives 0.5% of sales tax funding with no representation of where that funding is being allocated or spent. The county budget, which is filled with pie charts and empty pages, receives 1% of sales tax funding with no presentation of where that sales tax is being allocated or spent. The city's budget is thorough, but there is no indication where 2% of the sales tax the city receives is allocated or spent. The 1% road sales tax is explained, but does it require a separate account with published bank ledgers for the new oversight committee or grant process? In order to prevent further allegations of bias, whatever action the council decides as additional oversight of sales tax funding needs to be followed for all entities that receive sales tax funding. It is important that this decision be made with all of these considerations in mind. As a teacher of 25 years in WPSD and as a parent, I thank you for your continued support of our community, our district's children, staff, and families now, and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That concludes public comment for this
Thank
evening.
you. Anyone else in the audience have anything they want to share with the council before we move on? All right, thank you. We'll move now to item 7, unfinished business, and we have nothing. Item 8, ordinances on initial posting, we have nothing, and that takes us to public hearings. And item A is the request by Lowell Ross to consider ordinance number 1475, Series 2024, an ordinance amending the local historic landmark designation of the El Dorado Casino, also known as the Preschool in the Pines property, located at 312 Northwest Street, as requested by the property owner, Amy Ventures LLC. This is a QJ item, council. So with that, I will open the public hearing on this item, and we'll be ready for staff report.
So good evening. I have a number of slides here initially to just talk about historic preservation or designation in general, and then we'll dive into this topic in particular. I'm providing this background since there's always somebody new to the party is the way I joke about that. Do I have a typo up there that you're laughing? Okay, you're making me paranoid smiling. So my apologies, but thank you. So with that historic designation, it can get looked at from a couple of different perspectives. It gets looked at from a global level in terms of World Heritage Sites. This is looked at by the World Heritage Committee or UNESCO, and these are landmarks or natural areas of such unique value that they are considered part of the heritage of all humankind and not just individual nations. And then nations themselves can look at historic designation. And here in the United States, this is done through the Secretary of the Interior. And they look at things in terms of having significance to the country as a whole. Then that can get broken down at the next level where individual states can recognize historic assets or properties and determine that they are of such value that we want to recognize their contribution to our history. And then local governments, such as the Woodland Park, also have that ability to adopt their own ordinance and make their own designations of things that we find of value to us, our community, and our history. So here in Woodland Park, our historic landmark designation program was established in 1994 through an ordinance, and you can find this in our municipal code section 2.44. The purpose of this is to protect and preserve the city's historic and cultural heritage. It includes the creation of a citizen committee known as the Historic Preservation Committee, and they look at preservation and management of significant historic artifacts and structures. They also review or regulate alterations, relocation, removal, or destruction of historically significant sites and artifacts. And then they support educational opportunities to increase the appreciation of our unique heritage. We also acknowledge how our history is important to us through our comprehensive plan. Within Chapter 13 of that document, we cover arts, culture, and community heritage. And then there's a specific community heritage objective to encourage the preservation and identification of these resources. So when we look at a resource, what are we looking at in terms of determining its value or aspects of its integrity? The gold standard here in the United States goes back to the National Park Service, and then also in Colorado, the Colorado Historical Society, that these are all, and the National Park Service is part of the Department of the Interior, I believe. So they're looking at what is the setting, the location, design of the building, materials, workmanship, feeling, and any other historical associations. In Woodland Park, we have another resolution, number 602 from 2003, that gives us specific review criteria that will be addressed later in this presentation related to this project. So one of the questions we get quite often is, what are the benefits? What are the limitations if my property's been designated? There is a limitation just from the standpoint of not carrying out any new construction, alteration, removal, or moving or demolition of a designated landmark without first obtaining a landmark alteration decision from the Historic Preservation Committee. And the HPC has reviewed this request, and then it comes to City Council for your final decision. It doesn't say that if the HBC recommends against that, it doesn't mean you can't then still go ahead with your project. You're just potentially losing the designation of having that historical value. And then anytime somebody's doing a project, regardless of whether or not the property is historically designated or not, they're still subject to the other regular permitting processes. Under opportunities, there's the potential for tax credits and grant funds available through the state of Colorado to make improvements to in maintenance of historic designated properties. On the city website, there are recordings from last September where we did an outreach program here in this room that provides great background information on a number of these programs from the state. In the city of Woodland Park, we now have 15 landmarked properties. The latest addition was the Roberts Cabin down by Walmart, and that was, I believe, last fall when that was designated. This evening, we're going to talk about property number 8 up here at the top of the screen. They're at the location of Gunnison Avenue and Pine Street, roughly. So the El Dorado Casino, also known as Preschool in the Pines, this property sits on 3 lots, lots 1 through 3. And the casino sits in the center lot. And this is a request to amend the designation. This was previously designated in 2018. And so the request is to modify that prior designation. This is the applicant's representative, Lowell Ross, is here with us this evening to also answer any questions you may have. So as I mentioned, this property received its designation in 2018, sits on those 3 lots. So on the right, you can see a picture of the outside of that structure. And on the left is how the parcel is currently configured. So you've got lot 1 at the top, 2 in the middle, where you can see the red outline of the building. And then lot 3 is here on the southern edge. Along the right side of that is where Northwest Street is located. When this was first reviewed in 2018, it was looked at just in its overall history, that it was originally constructed in 1932. It was found to be significant for its importance to growing commerce in Woodland Park back in the 1930s. It's associated with renowned Woodland Park person Bert Bergstrom. He acquired all that land south of Midland Ave and donated parts of it to the Woodland Park Saddle Club and then to the Catholic Church. Mr. Bergstrom sold the property to the Abbotts in 1973, who used it as a residence. And then they sold that property in 1981 to the Browns, and that's when the Preschool in the Pines was daycare was established, or preschool. And it operated that way for quite a long time. And I think it was only within the last several years where the property has since changed hands to the current owner. So in looking at that property for designation, it was found that while it had changed over time with some additions, including the second story in the rear, that it was still found to be significant for its rustic style, including the buttressing effect at the corners, log construction, the large stone chimney, and small divided light windows. This is my favorite set of pictures of this particular building because you can really see the detail in the stonework on that chimney as well as the log construction. And then this slide shows on the left from the actual subdivision plat, the configuration of those 3 lots. And then on the right side, as much as it's like slightly on an angle, it better illustrates how that building sits in there on that center lot number 2. At the Historic Preservation Committee, there was more detailed discussion about, is this truly within the bounds of Lot 2? Were there any issues of any overlap into the adjacent parcels? So this picture is not completely accurate where you see those little green boxes going over the edge. The applicant was able to provide better information showing that it is truly within Lot 2 and not an issue or overlap onto lots 1 and 3. And it's because of this configuration with the building, the existing casino building, being on Lot 2 in its entirety, the owner is now asking to remove Lot 1 and Lot 3 from the designation because they would like to further develop those lots. They have gone through and requested the ability to locate a duplex dwelling on each of those lots. So when we look at the criteria in 2018, all of these were found to be in compliance. That being that the structure is at least 50 years of age, the property has significance through one or more aspects that are articulated here, and that it should have sufficient original character or accurately restored materials that maintain its historic character. And even that one, even though it had changed over time, it was still found to be significant for its local level of rustic style and character. So here in 2024, when we look at this request to remove those 2 vacant parcels, the findings that were created to that is lots 1 and 3 are vacant with no structures present. So this first criteria, it does not meet. When you look at its significance through more than one of those criteria, there was an inventory form done on this property a number of years ago, and within that inventory form, it does not specify any significance for either of the individual vacant lots. And then also, when you look at that last criteria about the structure having sufficient historic character. Since these are vacant lots, this criteria really is not applicable. There, an additional finding was made, and that was that the original findings from 2018 still apply to the El Dorado Casino building on Lot 2. Historic Preservation Committee reviewed this request on May 7th. And based on those findings above, the HPC voted unanimously to recommend City Council remove the historic landmark designation from vacant lots number 1 and number 3 El Dorado subdivision, but with the condition that that historic landmark designation for the El Dorado Casino building in Lot 2 is retained. So what you have in front of you this evening is this ordinance 1475, series 2024, that documents those particular findings. It clearly removes lots 1 and 3 from the designation and then retains that historic designation for the building on Lot 2 has an address of 312 Northwest Street. So the recommendation this evening is to approve that ordinance. Any questions?
Yeah, I have actually, sorry.
Go ahead.
When we make this, I mean, this ordinance is written. It doesn't specifically state lots 1 and 3. Do we need to make that in the motion to state basically lot 2 stays as?
Hang on.
I didn't see that. I mean,
I got it.
It's in the finding. This is lot 1,
yeah,
3, and then
it's in the
let's
findings.
see.
I just want to make sure we don't need to specify that lot 2 stays.
It says oh no, because lot 2 is not mentioned. It says the previously granted historical designation for lot 1 and 3 is hereby revoked. So 2.
Okay.
No, section 1 under the, section 1 under the, we now hereby find.
Oh, right. That's even.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that clearly says, which is located in lot 2.
Okay.
Does hereby retain local historic designation.
Okay, I must have missed that. I just wanted to double check. Thanks.
Council, any other questions of staff? Before we ask the applicant to come up? Okay, thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Mr. Russ, would you like to come up and make a presentation to the council?
Lowell.
Thank you. Is your first name Lowell?
Yeah, my name is Lowell Ross, Woodland Park resident.
Father's
So
first name.
thank you. I actually appreciate it, Karen, for that good presentation. I really don't have anything to add to that, other than I do want to state that lot 2, the structure, the historic structure, we actually remodeled that last year. I'm an architect, and we actually went through great lengths to maintain that structure, and not only the exterior, but the interior, we restored to a lot of the historical character back to the 1930s and 40s. So that sensitivity we've maintained. The structures that I'm proposing for lot 1 and 3 also pull very deeply from a historical context. They're single story. They fit the landscape. They also fit the character of the neighborhood. So we're very sensitive to the historical nature, even though we're asking for the historical designation to be removed from that property, but really trying to maintain that level of historic character. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions? All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So, no council questions, then I will ask for public comment from I will ask for public comment from the audience, both in here and online.
I
Suzanne?
have no one signed up personally and no one signed up online.
Okay. Anyone in the audience wish to address council on this issue? All right, then I will close the public comment and on this item and look to the council for deliberation or a motion.
I guess just by comment, it seems to me that those two the 2 lots, 1 and 3, should never have been considered for historical designation. The platting should have been respected. So I would just use that as my comment and how I'm probably gonna vote.
And I agree, and I don't know why we didn't catch that when we granted the historical preservation for that one lot, but we can undo it.
We can fix it.
We can fix it.
Then in that case, I make a motion to approve a request by Lowell Ross to consider ordinance number 1475, series 2024, an ordinance amending the local historic landmark designation of the El Dorado Casino, AKA preschool in the Pines property located at 312 Northwest Street, as requested by the property owner AIM Ventures LLC.
Second.
Thank you, council. Any further deliberation? All right, Suzanne?
Baldwin,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, council. Item B, approval of Symphony Above the Clouds special event liquor license for Memorial Park on July 4th, 2024. Council, I, as the president of the board of directors for the Symphony Guild, I will recuse myself from this item. If you don't mind, I will stay and still preside, but not contribute to the conversation. All right? Thank you. All right. So I will open this public hearing and see if there's any staff presentation, Suzanne.
Just a very, very brief one, Mayor.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As council knows, the city clerk's office has the authority to approve special event licenses from year to year that are not new ones, that have history, that have gone on and on and on without issue. The reason we're bringing this one to you, this special event license, is because in the past, this event has been held at the middle school. And so they never had a liquor license. So this is the first time now that they're going to be at Memorial Park that they want to have a liquor license. So I do have to bring this to you this evening, and hopefully next year we won't have to talk about this again. So it's a couple of details. I do have to tell you that Barbara Asbury is the applicant for the Symphony Above the Clouds, doing business as Symphony Above the Clouds 2024. They're requesting a special event liquor license for the 2024 Symphony Above the Clouds. The organization is a nonprofit organization with a current Colorado sales tax number. And the 2024 Symphony Above the Clouds will be held at the Memorial Park on Thursday, July 4th, beginning at 5 p.m., going to 9 p.m. The application was submitted to the city clerk's office on May 3rd. The property was posted on May 24th, as well as the public notice. The character of this applicant is not an issue for this hearing. And upon deliberation, and I believe Sherry Albertson is probably here to talk about it this evening. She'll tell you a little bit about what's going on. I would recommend approval from the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any questions for staff, council? All right, Sherry, would you like anything to share?
I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. If there's any questions, one of us can answer them if you all have it.
Are they gonna have the howitzers?
No, sir, we don't have anywhere to have them at Memorial Park.
Bummer.
I don't think any of the surrounding neighbors would appreciate the howitzers blowing them up
It's
on that
tradition.
evening. However, we do need a pyro, so.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. With that, and no more questions, I will open the public comment portion of this public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to address the council.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Anything further, council? I will close the public hearing for the public comment and public hearing and look to the council for a motion.
Do it again. I make a motion to approve make a motion to approve the special event liquor license for Symphony Above the Clouds in Memorial Park on July 4th, 2024.
Second. There you go. Thank you. Anything further, council, in deliberation? All right, Suzanne?
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, council. Thank you, Sherry, for being here. We go back to, we have new business, which would be item 10A, and it has been moved from 5A on the agenda. Approval of contract between Olgunik Enterprises LLC and the city of Woodland Park for $1,423,097. Ben.
Thank you, Mayor. So this project is part of our 2-year on-call asphalt and concrete contract with Olgunik Construction. They're coincidentally the same contractor that's doing the work on Highway 67 for us right now as well. But these areas of the city were selected because they are a little too big for our crews and our asphalt truck, and we'd spend the entire time with our crews fixing these big patches without a laydown machine. And so we're going to bring in a bigger laydown machine and contractor to do those bigger patches, and then also the flat work, the concrete around there. And then that way our crews can deal with the ditching and all the sewer cleaning and water repairs and things like that. And they'll stay focused on that. So it was just a little too big for our crews to handle, but small enough that it wasn't a complete capital project. So that's how all these areas were selected.
Got it.
Thank you. Council, any questions of staff? All right.
You don't, Ben, you don't happen to have a list of what streets you're hitting with these guys, with Olgunik?
Yeah, sorry, there's quite a few areas. So
in there.
sorry, I'm happy to go through each one if you'd like, but
No, I didn't. I just want to look at it.
some of
I didn't realize it was in the packet. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, just to highlight for the community. So some of the bigger areas that we were looking at are Elm at the entrance into the Valero area, and that shopping center in there that desperately needs it with some crosspan and drainage and stuff. There'll be improvements along West Street. It's not a full reconstruction of West Street, but some parking areas kind of by Cafe Leo, that bad section just off Lake. And then that will also coincidentally align with our Lake Street project, which the bids close on Monday for, that I'll also be bringing to council. So we should try to clean that up as well. And then the roundabout entering into Stone Ridge. So there's those are kind of the big areas. And then there's a bunch of smaller portions of that as well. Oh, and Memorial Park, I'd like to highlight that too, because all that concrete that's broken in the park around the fishing pier and everything, that's all part of this as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, council?
And just for clarification, this will all be from the 410 account.
That's correct.
All right, anything else? All right, I would look for a motion, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the contract between Olgunik Enterprises LLC and the city of Woodland Park for $1,423,097.
Thank you. Anything else, council? Suzanne?
Harvey,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, that's the agenda. We'll move into item 11A, which is mayor's report. I have a long list of things from June 6th to June 20th, 2024. On Wednesday, June 12th, from 10 to 12 at Meadowood Sports Complex is the bike rodeo. June is National Bike Month, and any child who can pedal a bike or trike is welcome to this free event. Kids will get bicycle safety tips and be challenged on a skills course. And remember, all participants must wear a helmet. Next, we have also on Wednesday, the 12th, but at the UPass Cultural Center from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is this year's first outdoor community concert. Come see Ryan Flores perform outside at the UPass Cultural Center Pavilion for free. All ages welcome, but children must stay with an adult at all times. Creative Explorers Art Camps start Monday, June 10th at the Art Cabin, which is up at the trailhead by Pikes Peak Credit Union. The camps will run Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Skyhawk Sports Camps registration is open for cheerleading and flag football. No baton twirling, Carol. Ages 5 to 12 years old, mini hawk ages 4 to 6 years old, and baseball tots and soccer tots ages 2 to 3 years old. For more details, reach out to the Parks and Rec team on the city website or call 719-687-5225. The Woodland Aquatic Center open swim summer hours are now Monday through Friday, 12 noon to 6 p.m., Saturday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the adult lap swim hours are now Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 12 noon, and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. You can also stop by the Parks and Rec office for free wildflower seeds, sponsored by Generation Wild Save the Bees campaign. July 15th, this is outside of the dates I mentioned, but I was asked to mention this to you all. July 15th at the UPass Cultural Center is the movie premiere of the Mighty Midland and the Towns It Built. This is the second movie. The first one was the Dude Ranches. This is the second production. The first one was outstanding, so I would highly encourage everyone. I don't have, oh, it's at 1 p.m. I see it now. So I would encourage everyone to see that. And then on the 29th of June is the 22nd annual Keep Woodland Park Beautiful Cleanup. Waste Management is sponsoring. It's from 10 a.m. to noon.
That's my handwriting. I'm so
No, it's not. WM. Trash and recyclables to divide. Will move trash. Waste Management. Thank you. Thank you. I needed that. Waste Management, Trash and Recyclables to divide transfer station.
Mayor, what I was trying, I wrote that quickly for you. What I was trying to say is that from 10 to noon during the cleanup, Waste Management will take people's trash, the community's trash and recyclables up to the Divide transfer station. They can bring it up there and they just have to show an ID.
Thank you.
So
They're
if you have
seeking,
things you need to get rid of, now's the time.
it is. Seeking volunteers to help with the cleanup. They meet at 8:30 a.m. at Memorial Park and at 1 p.m. once all the trash all around our community is picked up. There will be free food, music, and games for everyone that participated and those that didn't participate. Also, I wanted to mention Vash Holt's Family Day, June 27th, 2024 at Woodland Park City Hall, meet and greet, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. City Council, 6:30 p.m. So it's right before the council meeting on June 27th. The city in Woodland Park cordially invites the community to an evening of fast and furious fun. Join us to celebrate local racing legends, the Vash Holt's family. Games and prizes, view of an official race car, selfie station, awards table, and meet the team. Couple other things I did present to talk with the chamber board yesterday. We talked about the election and the new council, our retreat that we had on Monday, and I'll go into that some more. Just talk to them about different things that we have on our agenda and that came out of our retreat. So with that, I will just say that we had a great retreat at Edgewood. Want to thank them for their hospitality. We did a great job of working through our rules and procedures as they stand today to try and massage them to where they meet our needs, this council. So we've given staff direction. They're going to update that and we'll be bringing that back to the council at a meeting. We talked about the core values that are in our strategic plan and if those are still relevant, still apply, and also our mission and vision statement, which we're going to do a little tweaking on as well. We talked about goals for 2025 with staff, with Aaron, and we have a lot of things on our plate in addition to capital projects. And then we talked about the initial conversation about budget priorities for next year. So a lot of things that we ironed out, worked through. So we got a lot coming on our plate. And the last thing is we attended, Terry and I and the city clerk attended the CML district meeting up in Monument. They were hosting, and we learned a lot, and we got a neat flyer from them called The President's Initiative of Civility Starts Here. I shared it with the council, and it's just pretty interesting. Maybe we could share it on our website or something, because it kind of goes along with some other activities that are going on in town. That's all I have, council. Catherine?
So I, at the mayor's request, I attended a meeting with the mayor of Fountain and the mayor of Monument, and it kind of goes along with what the regional building department was talking about, which was meeting with the lobbyist. They find it really helpful. It's a little bit time consuming if we would get involved with it, in that they start at the beginning of January with the legislative session, and they meet every week to go over the bills, because the bills are a moving target, and you pick the 5 that you're worried about. But it was, I think we should, consider it another council meeting or whatever consensus to look into joining that group for next year. So
What,
it'll
is
start
there a
again in
cost?
December. Yeah, there's a cost. So I would think we just do it at budget time and try to figure out what that cost would be.
Mhm.
It's around $15,000.
Yeah, compared to Colorado Springs, which is, they're doling out 250,000 for one person.
For one person, right?
Mm.
He's a very nice, he seemed very well-spoken, and he seemed to get a lot done. Mostly in carve-outs. We don't necessarily get the bill overturned, but we get carve-outs for our rural communities, similar to what Dan and Eric and Bob tried to do, but I thought it was.
Was there any conversation about the home rule, the whole thing that the state's doing to bills? Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically what they're trying to do is to preserve our home rule way of life and our rural way of life.
So when Michael was still here,
Right.
We had a conversation. We were invited by Monument and Fountain, their mayors, to join in this contract with this lobbyist. His name is William. And with the joint engagement with him, it makes everyone's costs come down with regards to his services. They have seen a great deal of cost savings through his services, and so they're rekindling for the new legislative session. They reached out again to update us on what happened and to see if we still had an appetite for maybe participating. So that's kind of where that came from last year. And we met, Michael and I, it's been more than a year ago, met up in Denver with the majority leader in the Senate, Mr. Baisley, our senator, and the new representative that used to be the mayor of Monument. And yeah, we talked, and the lobbyist was there, and we all had a conversation with them about the effectiveness, what was going on, testimony, different things like that. And it was very productive and positive. And at that time, the council was interested. And so we lost Michael, things kind of got lost in the shuffle. So they've reached out again to see if we want to explore that further and possibly join with them in that effort. So.
Yeah, so the basic premise of how they do it is they'll have a meeting in December after their elections and our state elections, because we may have a different representative. If we join in with them, then they start in January when the bills start, and they meet once a week, but they meet with the state representative once at the very beginning. And then it's just typically the mayors that get together with the lobbyist. And then if there's things that they need from the representatives, then they'll bring them in, but the representatives don't come every week. But she did say that their representatives are very engaged. So Don Wilson, the prior mayor, and
Baisley.
no, Mary Banfield. which is their two house, it's the House representatives more than the Senate. But yeah, so they seem to get a lot out of it, and they seem to be a really well-organized group. And they pretty much run through May until the end of the legislative session, and then they have this meeting that I attended, which is the summary of the year, and they take off until December. So,
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah.
sure. And then the UAC doesn't meet till next week.
So piggybacking on what Mayor Case said, I also attended the Colorado Municipal League spring meeting last week. Many of the municipalities in our region were there. They're represented by their officials. Furthest away was the group from Alma, which is out on the way to Breckenridge. So it seemed like mostly a social event, but it was good to meet all those leaders. Also would like to piggyback on the council retreat on Monday. I thought it was productive and gave us a chance to get to know each other better. We had some very spirited discussions about directions that we might want to go, and also had some fun with each other, looking at our rules and procedures. It was fun. I also wanted to call out the event that was at the park on Sunday called Pride Above the Clouds. The organizer, it was very well organized and very well attended. And it was older people, younger people, families, lots of booths, I guess, tents, tables that had resources for different things in the community. What's that?
Vendors.
Vendors. And vendors. Vendors sell things though, so I haven't gotten there yet. And also live music and food. Anyway, it just was a really enjoyable community event in the park on a beautiful day. And the last thing I have is I'm continuing to get out there and visit businesses, and the visits from the business owners seem to be very well received by the owners. And then the feedback from the community has been kind of fun too. So that's all.
Great. Jeff?
So first off, Mayor Case, thanks for making a point about the wildflower seeds. Been looking for some for a while, so
Oh,
appreciate
good.
that. First, Parks and Rec Advisory Board. We have an update from there. Baseball, we had 21 teams sign up this year. Girls softball, we had 3 teams, and adult softball, we had 16 teams. All programs are up and running smoothly. The Woodland Park Aquatic Center is accepting registration for the Wahoo's Summer Swim Team. The team participates in the Pikes Peak Swim League. We currently have 43 youth on the team. Open Swim has been very busy. On Tuesday, we had a Colorado Springs Day Camp bring 61 kids and 10 adults for Open Swim. Ute Pass Cultural Center has hosted 6 weddings so far this year, with 3 more scheduled in June. The staff, Parks and Rec, is currently working with the Palmer Land Conservancy for the Avenger Land Conservation Easement. And lastly, from PRAB, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board continues to collect donations for the Avenger Open Space. The board will be developing a donors recognition program. Moving on from there, I want to piggyback on Terry's comments with regards to Pride Above the Clouds. Thank everyone who came out. It was really fun. I had a great time with my family there. Can't wait to do it again next year. And that is it for me.
Thank you. Carol?
Only a question for staff. Aaron, did we ever publish the results of the national survey that the community participated in? And if not, can we look forward to that?
Yes, we have not published those yet. We still are going through those as a staff. So.
Were they that bad? What was the problem?
We're still going through it.
Okay, gotcha.
We will brief council on it shortly.
Thanks. All right. Anything else, Carol? Okay, George?
Yeah, so we had DDA this past week, Tuesday. We do meet Tuesday mornings at 7:30 a.m. in case anybody wants to show up. A couple of things to note. We have three positions, I think it is, that are renewing, that are up for renewal. And so the deadline to apply to be on the DDA is June 20th. Now, there's a number of criteria. Please go to the website. I can't recite them all. Also, just wanted you guys to know Chair Perry had indicated that this will be his final year. So we're gonna have one more year with him and then elections next year, I guess, for a new chairman. And actually, to be fair, in July, we're gonna hold elections for all the positions again as well. Some interesting things. Tava came and Mark Weaver was there, gave his update. Things are going well, it seems. He did say that they're driving hard to get to the subdivision agreement, which will allow them to put shovels in the ground. You guys, the public has probably seen all that dirt. That's all used for, it's going to be used to level that land. So, you know, that's what's going on there with that thing. And the last thing is, oh, we did get a hold of, Tony got a hold of the owner of the Voss building, what might be called the Martini Hut, that red building. So the comments back from the owner are that he does want to put a restaurant in there. So we're still looking forward to that. But we are trying to work with him to clean up that facade, just make it at least a little more presentable. So that's it.
Is that building sound?
No.
Structurally
Well,
sound?
I don't know. I've been in it. I don't know if we've had anybody go through there from the city, but it's interesting.
There's been some private folks consider it for investment. And their opinion
right?
was it should be leveled, but you know, everyone has their own opinion about things. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's not an official take.
yeah,
on
it's
the condition of the building.
right. And it's unfortunate. I mean, the family's gone through a lot, so they've been delayed massively with personal things going on. I don't want to describe what they are, but they indicated that they're still interested in trying to put a restaurant in there. So let's see what we get.
Thank
That's
you, George.
Yep.
Steve.
Just to go over, the recap was on Sunday at the Pride Above the Clouds. It was awesome. Had a blast there. Supported our whole community like we should. You know, you want to go out next year, check it out. It was awesome. Terry, can you go a little bit over with your comedy night that's coming up?
There's a comedy night coming up at the Cultural Center on June the 15th. Can't remember. I think it's the 14th or the 15th.
14th is for.
That's it, 14th. Melody, who actually runs the Cultural Center, is a stand-up comedian. And I kept asking her, when are we gonna have some comedy up here? And she said, well, I've got some friends. And so we just decided, I think Kelly was standing there too. And we said we'd sponsor it if she'd get some comedians. So we can always use a good laugh. So I hope it's a good crowd.
It is the 14th from 7 to 9.
Yep.
At
Cultural Center.
Cultural Center.
And the admission is,
$0.
I'll be there.
It's sponsored.
Sponsored.
Donations accepted.
Sure, absolutely. Is that all?
That's all I got.
Thank you. City Attorney.
I don't have anything for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Hello. All right, Suzanne has an update on the fees from TDS.
Yeah, I have a couple of things, Aaron, if that's okay. But I'll start with TDS. So we are the franchise authority for TDS, and it's our duty to let the public know when we're notified about billing changes. So we received this letter from TDS to let us know they're informing us of a billing change that will go into effect beginning July 2024. TDS will be increasing the late payment charge by $2 for residential customers where applicable, and the new late payment charge will be $12. They wanted to reiterate that customers can avoid a late payment fee by ensuring that their payment is received by the due date. That's the update from TDS. A couple of other things. I want to remind council and the public that we do not have our regularly scheduled June 20th council meeting. That majority of us will be at the CML conference. So council will be on June 27th instead. Then following that, July 4th, of course, is a holiday, so we will not be having a council meeting on that day. And that council meeting will be, the next one will be July 18th. So the two dates to remember are June 27th and July 18th for the next council meetings. And then finally, I just wanted to mention the retreat from the other day. And there were some questions about the posting of the retreat, the agenda. And I just want council to know, because a lot of you are new, and the public, that our posting requirements are 24 hours prior to a meeting. The agenda for the work session was posted on Thursday, May 30th. The retreat was on Monday, June 3rd, so we were well within our 24 hours deadline. The other thing is, when we have a retreat or a work session or anything like that nature where council's just gathering, we do not have to post an agenda if it's clear in the title what we're doing. And so council retreat is a very clear item of what we're doing. We're having a retreat. So there was no agenda posted and there's no laws that say that we need to do that. So just wanted to.
I can confirm that.
Thank you. I wanted to say that out loud because different laws have been quoted to us this week that are incorrect.
Thank you, Suze. And Ben has a few updates for us as well.
Okay, at first I'll start with the Highway 67 project update. So thank you everyone for your patience as the contractor's gotten kicked off with installing those deceleration acceleration lanes along Highway 67. So please just help our crews out there. They're working to get this done within 60 days from last week. So they're hustling along, but it's moving along well, and we'd like to roll hopefully our MMOF project, which that is the trail extension from Triple V Ranch up to Red Rocks, that reconstruction of that trail there, and the ADA ramp improvements. We're hoping to kind of dovetail those so they link together. So by the fall, you should have a nice clean bike path and easy acceleration, deceleration lanes to get there. And then just wanted to provide another, sorry, are there any questions about the 67 project? Does it come up? There's no signal either. That's the other one that I've heard. There's no signal being installed. The other one I wanted to provide an update on was the fuel spill that happened last May of 2023, because we received some questions about that. So in about the middle of May of last year, the tanker truck turned over in the Gold Hill parking lot there and leaked fuel into the parking lot and subsequently into Fountain Creek. As soon as we got the call, within, I believe it was 35 minutes, our crews had equipment mobilized to berm up the Fountain Creek and stop the spill, which I thought was incredibly impressive, from just going about their day to called and then mobilizing out and getting it done. So the street crew and Parks Building Grounds crew did awesome there. So after that, what happened was EnviroServe was the company that was coming in, and Atlas were the company that were coming in to do the remediation efforts, and they were to remove all the contaminated soil throughout the project. They were in correspondence with Jay Tegg from Teller County Emergency Management. So I just want to make sure I got his last name right. And they were coordinating the removal of the contaminated soil efforts. And so when they engaged me later on, about a month after that, they asked what soil they needed to put back in. And I said, well, which Army Corps of Engineer permit? We all have to, anytime you're doing work in the floodway, you need to have an Army Corps of Engineer permit and potentially a flood hazard development permit, depending on the scope of the work. And I just asked which permit they were working under. They said they'd get back to me, and found out they applied for that permit a couple months later and then obtained it in November. And so as we're working through the process, our primary goal was to make sure that the contaminated soil was removed. So we let them continue work there, but any of the reconstruction and restoration work that surrounded that, we wanted to make sure that we were following the FEMA process, and that any new dirt that went back into the floodway didn't adversely affect anybody downstream. And so and the way we govern that is through a flood hazard development permit. So we've met with their engineer a couple different times in December, March, And then reconnected with them a couple times last month, and we have still not seen a flood hazard development permit submitted for them. So until they submit that permit, we have nothing to inspect yet, but the goal is to make sure that the wall and the parking lot and all of the floodway downstream has all the approvals from Army Corps of Engineers restored so that there's no rise in the floodplain, and all that the wall and the parking lot is restored back per city specs and standards. I feel like we're kind of well outside that emergency blanket for that, and so we just want to make sure it's done correctly.
Thank you.
So Ben, let me, if I could, I just want to make sure, so there's no contaminated soil there. The contaminated soil has been removed.
So my update a month after the fuel spill happened was that most of the contaminated soil was going to be removed and completed. I got an update last week after multiple requests for update that there were still small quote hot spots in the majority of the fuel contamination had been removed, but they were asking if they had permission to remove those hot spots. I said, of course, you've got your Army Corps of Engineer permit, please remove those. I was hoping those were removed during that time. So they're finishing cleaning up. So if you see the VACON out there down in the floodway, that's what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing further.
Thank you, Aaron. All right. With that, I'm going to ask the council to make a motion to move into executive session.
So I will make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Section 4B, a conference with attorneys for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions, and pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Section 4E, for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and or instructing negotiators relating to the lawsuit brought by the Teller County Short-Term Rental Alliance against the city, currently in the United States District Court for the District Court of Colorado, and negotiations and legal advice surrounding the same.
I second.
Thank you, council. Suzanne?
Jones,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Case,
Yes.
Nakai,
Yes.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. So Mayor, we just need like 5 minutes to get set up.
Thank you.
And then to the public, we're not coming out and making any decisions or having any votes.
Okay, thank you.